Reddeos presents r/AskReddit. If you enjoy the video, show your support by commenting, liking and subscribing to the channel. What's the weirdest rule you had in your home growing up? Cursing Thursdays. You could say whatever you wanted with no consequences. Had someone stay over who knew the rule, opened my parents' bedroom and said goodnight. Edit, obligatory, holy I fell asleep and this blew up. Thank you for the shiny, and kinda shiny, anonymous Redditors. I wasn't allowed to put sugar in my tea because my mom told me that when you go to prison they don't let you have sugar, so it will makes prison that much harder. 1. Thanks for having so much faith in me, mom. 2. I'm pretty sure you are allowed sugar for your tea in prison. At my friend's house they had a no pizza balling rule. There were 3 teenage brothers and when they ordered pizzas, at least a couple larges, tempers flared quickly when people would try to grab as many slices as they could. The first rule in place was that you couldn't have more than 1 slice at a time, and you could grab another once you had the last bite in your mouth. But one of the brothers quickly figured it out that if you ball up a slice he could fit it in his mouth and grab another one. Hence, no pizza balling. Edit 1, spelling N stuff. Edit 2, to be clear I'm not endorsing this as a good idea, it's just a thing I saw happen. When the pizza box was about to hit the table the only thing the mom said was remember, no pizza balling. Which was so confusing for me, for about 5 seconds. If the dare officer at school shows you something and it smells familiar, say nothing. I will explain it later. Also, if mom's room smells like incense, it is the best time to ask for something. We had silverware with roses on it. Our thumbs had to be on the rose when we used the utensils or we'd have to practice after dinner. Utensils couldn't make any noise against your teeth or you'd have to practice after dinner. My house was a real ball of laughs growing up. My dad made up a rule to stop my big brother from asking about getting a dog every 10 seconds. We had neighbors on both sides who had dogs, so the rule was that only every other house could have a dog. My brother believed it for a long time. We could watch Freddy movies but not Jason movies. BC My mom thought Friday the 13th was satanic but Nightmare on Elm Street movies were just for fun. I wasn't allowed to put any personal touches in my room. No posters, paint colors, pictures of my friends, or any sort of choices, not even my comforter. It was all decorated to my mother's specifications. I wasn't allowed to drink the milk left over after eating cereal. Never really got an explanation but my dad would yell if I tried. Edit, wow, never thought my weird childhood rule would get this much attention. Couple of things. I once asked and all I got was it's gross as an answer. We were not a prim and proper type family. No, I am not lactose intolerant. And unfortunately my dad suddenly passed away a few years back so I can't ask him for an explanation now that I'm an adult. I guess the world will never truly know. I wasn't allowed to make noise. If I spoke above a mumble I was being surly. If I was playing it could not be audible outside of my shut bedroom door. If I was cleaning, which I usually was, then I couldn't make noise while doing it. The consequences varied, usually being screamed at, having something thrown just past my head, or having something I valued taken away. My brother did not have the same restrictions. He's always been an avid musician. Played video games at full volume. Cracked jokes and was generally encouraged to speak up. The only time he had the same rules was when our mother was on the phone, which was pretty often. I don't resent him for being treated better and he frequently advocated for me. Now I have some interesting quirks. I can wash dishes in complete silence. I still leave drawers and cabinet doors slightly ajar. I sneak up on people at work by accident. If people are watching TV with me I have to remember to turn up the volume for them. There are days when I can't handle the sound of turning on the shower or running the vacuum cleaner. I have a decimeter app on my phone and frequently check to see how much noise I'm making. I even sneeze silently. But I blast the radio in my car and through my headphones. Yes, I'm in therapy. Edit. Well. Thank you all for all the gilding and thoughtful responses. I'm glad some of you found humor in my story. It's okay to laugh at the absurdity of it. A few things to add based on those responses. You can't vacuum silently, but you can get on your hands and knees with a large scrub brush and brush the debris out of carpet. The answer below as to how to wash dishes silently is accurate based on my experience. Yes, I have been to the Razor by Narcissists sub. It is helpful at times, but I am pretty far along in the healing process now. People there are still coming to terms with things I dealt with 10 years ago. Yes, I'm a woman. That was a factor, for sure. I was also unwanted. My mother had already decided to divorce my father when she got pregnant with me. She has implied she wasn't a willing participant in that process, which I actually believe. Also, my brother didn't have it easy. His experiences were just different but not necessarily better. My father was terrible but mostly absent. He died badly a few years ago. I didn't go to the funeral. I don't speak to my mother unless absolutely necessary. Abuse doesn't end when you turn 18. It turned into financial abuse, and she was also abusive to my child until I cut contact. My mother had a horrific childhood, and by all accounts our experience was an improvement on that. I do think she did the best she could with the information she had. I don't wish her any harm. I had a stepdad for a while. He was clueless, somewhat of an, and also being abused by her. He still taught me how to function and created some stability. There were other adults who tried to help with varying levels of success. CPS was involved at one point, but she outsmarted them. Those limited interactions with adults who clearly cared, had healthy boundaries, and treated me appropriately for my age made all the difference. So if you're witnessing something similar and can't act directly to correct the situation, do that. You are actually helping. My parents acted like referring to them as he or she while they were in the room was the equivalent of saying you. So referring to my parents with pronouns was effectively not allowed. Not allowed to whistle at night. Was told that you'd hear one back from someone who isn't there. Clarification, my mother is Native American, so we have a few superstitions like that. House isn't haunted. Parents aren't schizo. Just mild superstition. Holy, this blew up. I was not expecting that. Also interesting to hear whistling superstitions from other parts of the world. Wasn't allowed to say sucks or freaking. I could only buy things if I was buying them for a birthday or Christmas gift for somebody else. Mind you, this was my own money I earned from my job. My mom knew how long it took to get home from school, so if I stopped at the store, she knew and I'd be in trouble. Parents had a plaque of the Alcatraz prison regulations above the pantry. You are entitled to food, clothing, shelter and medical attention. Anything else that you get is a privilege. Okay. Love you too, Mom. Edit, so this wasn't used as a joke. They stood by these rules and actually ignored the medical attention most of the time. So I almost died multiple times in my life for not receiving medical care. It's kind of those of you commenting about how you want a plaque like that for your own kids. Really hope you guys are joking and don't intend on actually acting like this as a parent. Edit again, guys, I'm not talking about using these ideas to teach a valuable lesson. I get it, kids feel entitled to more than they need. Just love your kids and don't literally neglect them is all I'm saying. We weren't allowed to say we were bored. We had a board jar, 50 pence a slip up. I was never allowed to leave a drink in the car because, according to my mother, someone could poison it. She's always been overly paranoid about safety, but that one is my favorite. The only movies we could watch on Sunday were 1. Bambi and 2. The Sound of Music. Edit, just answering some recurring questions. Yes, I was raised Mormon. We weren't allowed to watch religious movies that weren't LDS. We were allowed to watch a LDS film called The Other Side of Heaven, but the disc was scratched. No pooping or peeing within the hours of 2 to 4 o'clock. We weren't allowed to go in my parents' room ever. When I say ever, I mean ever. One day my brother and I decided that we couldn't take it anymore, so we snuck into their room. There wasn't anything in particular that was strange, but it was still weird that we weren't allowed in there. That I couldn't decide on how to get my hair cut until I turned 14. You can play San Andreas but only on mute. You can kill all the prostitutes you want, but we don't tolerate foul language in this house. We were not allowed to use the front door. Ever. There was a metal screen on it with a deadbolt that needed a key for either side. My stepdad kept the key and even visitors had to go to the back through the side gate. Edit, my stepdad told us only cops use the front door. Anyone who came to the front was automatically suspect to him. We were to never answer the door to strangers for this reason. All of our friends / visitors were to go through the back. We couldn't say the word dot. Ever. It was up there with and as far as bad words. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to comment, like and subscribe.